Buhle strives to not let her emotions interfere with the job. For Buhle, law and justice are the order of the day. What did you face that you didn't necessarily mentally prepare for?
Just the legal environment is very it's a very hectic environment,
Okay, welcome to Black Ambition. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Are you good?
I'm good. I'm good.
Excellent. Now, Buhle, you are a highly acclaimed advocate. And what I love about it all is that you are a black woman in that. Not only have you cut through the clutter of the typical demographic that you would typically find in this industry, you've done remarkably well, and I just really want to congratulate you on that part before we get started. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, on a quick one, just in terms of your childhood, obviously at some point in your life you decided, I am going to study law. What happened in your childhood that actually influenced your decision to study law?
Wow. My decision to study law was actually a very simple one.
Okay.
How it happened in grade 6, our teacher forgot that he was supposed to take us for career day.
He forgot?
Yeah, when the principal went and asked him, where we had gone, he decided to take us next door, which happened to be a magistrate court.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's the first time I went to any working environment because my parents were self-employed.
Yes.
And then I just loved what I saw. And then from then I started asking him questions and I told him that day that I wanted to study law.
That's amazing, and you were fixated on it from that day.
From that day until I got sidetracked a bit.
We'll talk about the sidetrack. What I love about what you just said now is that your parents were both self-employed. And what kind of entrepreneurs were they?
Well, look, my father is a bit controversial. He was a taxi owner.
He was a taxi owner,
Yeah,
okay.
He had a number of taxis that he owned. My mother, on the other hand, she's remarried.
Yes.
So she and my stepfather, they've got a bricks making business.
Okay. So you never fell into the entrepreneurial passion type?
Well, look, I mean, you somehow always do fall into that because that's what you're exposed to.
Yes.
And when you grow older, you start during holidays to go there and work. So somehow I was always fascinated by it, especially the taxi one. I think I know that was
especially the taxi one. And you grew up in KZN, ladies'
I grew up
name.
in KZN, ladies' name.
Okay, now I'm fascinated. Your name is Buhle and your surname is Lekokotla. That is big. That is big.
Yeah, that is big.
So your dad is Kimobek.
Papa, he was baby.
Oh, was.
Yeah, passed on. Yeah, he was baby actually from the Kalale. He moved, I think when he was young, to Pandriene, which is a town between Harrismith and Ladysmith.
Okay.
He says why you chose to go to Ladysmith instead of Harrismith because the women were more beautiful in Ladysmith. So it was that simple.
Okay, lovely. I love it already. So, Buhle, I know that you are quite a bright person. You are so bright that you actually have large students. Wow. So you absolutely got your law degree and now you've just finished your economics degree.
I did.
How did you move from law to economics? Because usually what happens is that people actually just build on what they have, onto what they have. How did you move from that into the economic space?
Well, moving into the economic space brings me back to that point about me being sidetracked. I think when I was, just as I was doing matric or just close to matric, all of a sudden I wanted to do 3 things. At least I was told those are powerful careers. Either an economist, a politician, or a lawyer.
Okay.
So law was always there, but then the other two. Then, strangely enough, I had law as my third choice when I applied for varsity.
Wow. As your third choice?
Believe it or not, from grade 6, knowing for a fact I wanted to do it, when I had to apply, I just put it as a third choice. And economics was one, politics was the second, and then law was the third. You see, my father just asked me, so are you really going to do economics? So I said yes. He was like, okay, cool. On the date of registration, he said, listen, I know that you want to be all creative and all of that, but you're not going to get all creative with my money.
With my money?
Not with my money. So he said, I'm only paying for you if you study law. Otherwise, I'm living with the money. And he would have done it. He would have done it.
So at that moment, you had to decide, I'm doing my load. Everything else will follow.
But then there was a catch. When I went to the student admin follow, I found out it was full. So I was still happy. I came and told him. They said it's full. He was like, go and convince them. To a point where I had to go to the registrar's office. Yeah. So when I went there, I tried to speak to them. They were like, no, they really can't do anything about it to me. And they asked where my parent is. And I had to lie. I told them my parent wasn't around because he wasn't going to come there.
Yes.
There I knew. So yeah, that's how I did it. And then they said, no, the department doesn't have the authority. But because of my marks, they were so impressed. In fact, they gave me a bursary then.
So you moved to, your first job was at Adams & Adams.
It was.
And you worked there about 2 years, was it?
3 years.
3 years. You know, I remember when I started my first job, I had this perception that I'm going to sit under this air-conditioned, company, potentially even have my own office and do certain things. Now, there's realities that come with starting out. And I think, let's set the record straight. What did you face that you didn't necessarily mentally prepare for?
Wow. I think obviously we worked with an open plan. Right?
Yes.
And I knew that, they say candidates attendees work hard.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect the number of hours.
Tell me about the hours. What kind of hours are we talking?
Firstly, obviously there are no office hours per se because
there's no office hours. Okay.
Yeah, they say
That-
for professionals there are no office hours. Just getting I think there are hours in the contract, but you forget about the contract when you get there because it's just impossible to speak to.
Correct.
So you go there. I mean, we were. There were times when I would come in around 6 a.m. and leave at 7, 8 p.m. Yeah. I mean, almost all the candidates attendees work every Saturday. You'd be shocked when you went to the firm on Saturday. And it was so filled with cars. You'd be like, is it a Monday or a Saturday? Because and everyone just went like that.
And all at the same drive.
Everyone.
That is incredible. Because I think it's very important to just highlight that there's so many young people who are, some still considering whether they should do law or not, and some who are actually going into different fields. And I think the expectation is always just so flawed. I think the reality is what's going to be most important, and that's what's going to separate, the good from the great. And in your case, it became great.
We tried.
You tried. Now, obviously, you are a successful advocate today. What were some of the sacrifices that you made? You spoke about time just now. What else did you lose along the way in order to become who you are today?
I think the first thing was my mind.
Your mind.
I lost my mind.
Okay.
I lost my mind. I'm in the process of getting it back.
Yes.
Yeah, I know I'm in the process, but it's looking better now.
Okay.
I think, look, just the legal environment is very, it's a very hectic environment, So one of the things that you do is that, you're constantly thinking. You're constantly thinking either about your case or the argument, or, you know what I mean? And I think with me, because I always say I complete my thoughts. I always say one advantage I have over other people is that I complete my thoughts.
What does that mean?
It means if I thought of something and I get distracted for some reason or another, I always come back.
Always find a way to get back to it.
Get back to it. And just think.
Now, Buhle, I read something that was published recently from the Department of Justice, and it was basically a role of advocates that they call ROLL. Yeah. And what I was fascinated by was just how the demographics were just so skewed to a certain race, to a certain gender. What are some of the challenges that you faced as a young female black advocate?
Well, I think, you're correct. Firstly, the biggest losers here, or the one group that you don't have, are black females.
Yes, that was very clear.
You know what I mean? And there are reasons for that. I think one, you spoke about it, the fact that you really don't get paid for it.
Yes.
Right? Now, obviously that affects everyone. But the thing is, for any person who wants to be an advocate, thinking that you won't get paid, already that's, especially when we had started, like in my case, I've done articles, so I was already, in my third year, I practiced as an attorney. So to start making, decent money, then to learn how to do that, and go for a year unpaid. And for some people, remember, they don't just do for a year as I do. Some people have been employed for 10, 20 years, and you find out that, most women, most black women are single parents, So for them to think of a year, of not being paid is one.
Okay.
And I mean, already for them to make that sacrifice,
It's a big ask.
it's a big ask. And also, I suppose, because most women are primary caregivers anyway, so that's why just getting there.
Yes.
But then for those who do make the sacrifice and they actually do get into the profession,
Yes.
I think the bar is just not in favor of most women. It depends on what stage of your life you enter the career. So meaning, if you are still unmarried, it's easier. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. The sacrifice is not as big.
Not as big.
Yes.
Not as big. Look, you might lose a few relationships
along the way,
but you know what?
Expected, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's part of the sacrifice that you have. You know what I mean? That you have to deal with. But I think for older women, more married women, it's harder to stay there because you find out that they could endure the year, right? It's not being paid. But when you start out, as I said previously, the briefing patterns are also just not in favor of black women because there is briefing patterns, meaning who they brief, who the attorneys will brief in the process. Now,
when you say not in favor, why is that?
Well, firstly, there are things that are traditionally accepted, that certain attorneys would say, we've got a good relationship with X and Y. We prefer to work with them because we gel with them, So it's just easier to give work to them because the turnaround time.
This is so amazing, and I'll tell you why. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's so amazing because it's not just your sector that I put that from. From a marketing point of view and an advertising point of view, can relate to that. And it's so weird because you are on this side, you're legal, and I'm on this side, marketing. I can relate to exactly what you're saying, which is a problem, is it not?
Exactly. Oh, no. I mean, look, accountants are saying the same thing. Everyone else, you know what I mean? They're saying the same thing because breaking into the market, it's like, and these reasons, if you're not applying your mind, they sound valid. It's like, I mean, it makes sense for the client not to pay for me who take twice the time and therefore twice the money as compared to Mr. X who just gets the job done. But the problem is that people who say that they forget one thing, that is, we all have a responsibility to transform this country. And transformation comes at a price. And that price includes bringing someone who would ordinarily not get the chance to do the work that they would ordinarily not get, because that's what transformation is about.
Hi, I'm Buhle Lekokotla. I'm part of the Victoria Mxenge Group of Advocates. This is my office. This is where I spend the majority of any day, any working day. And the group that I'm part of is a fantastic group to be in. I'm part of the Johannesburg Association of Advocates, so our group forms part of the broader Association of Advocates. And this is my office. Behind me here are the law reports. This is actually where all the decisions that were made by the courts in our country are recorded. So essentially, that's what I spend most part of every day reading, because that's what guides whatever decision I take.
Okay, I want to talk to you right now about some of the cases that you've worked on. And I read that you worked on the infamous, let me not say famous, the infamous spear. Controversial. Yeah. Really, really controversial. And what was interesting though for me is that naturally it was the ANC versus the Goodman Gallery, and then it became versus the certificates. And in your case, you worked at the certificates. I'm going to ask you something. How difficult was it? And I'm not going to ask you to be the party in favor. How difficult was it? Because obviously one was looking at creative expression versus human dignity. Just as a black woman, who has the utmost respect, who's respectable, all of that. How was it working on that particular case, knowing what you know?
What made it particularly difficult for me, before I even answer your question, is that I actually got a call from the guy who was leading me in the case,
Yes.
to work with City Press. A minute when he dropped the phone, I got a call to be on the side of the ANC.
No.
Yes. 1 minute. They were 1 minute apart.
No.
I tell you.
And you still made your decision the way you
Well, the thing is, there are rules. Yeah?
There are
If
rules.
you've already accepted a brief, the prior brief takes precedence over any other brief. So I had said I was available for the City Press. Yeah? So I was, and when they called, I was like, and
But then I have to ask you though. If they would ask at the same time, which route would you have gone?
look, I probably would have gone the City Press route.
But still, okay.
I think so, but the thing is, you know what? What's even weird about this is that the two guys who acted for the ANC are in my group. Victoria Mxenge.
Yes.
My leader and I were in the same group as well with them. So the four of us are in one group.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So obviously when they called me, it's people you know what I mean, I respect them and I've worked with them on a whole lot of other matters. So when they called me, it was because, you know, I had a bit of an experience in media law, and that's why the City Press guys called as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, look, to answer your question, you know, on the dignity issue, you know, I've got my views about dignity and how it's interpreted in our country. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because, you know, to be honest with you, some people really felt that there was no infringement of dignity at all.
Okay.
And there was a belief that, you know, black people are just over exaggerating. Because, I mean, a lot of guys that I spoke to, you know, including my mother, they were like, you know, how dare you go in and for this case? No, really. They were like, when they've insulted the president so bad, in law, it's not about how you feel. It's about the established rules and whether you can prove, you know, your case according to them. So if there are certain things you cannot show, then you're out, regardless of how strongly you feel about the principle itself.
Can I then ask you a question? Am I to assume, or am I correct in saying that you do not wear your heart to your sleeve? You're not very emotional, because a lot of us are driven by emotion. So are you a very factual person, an analyst apart, and you know there's no emotion that goes into cases that you perhaps manage in your God?
Look, I mean, I'm human, you know, so
Yes,
there
of
is an element of emotion,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you why I'm not very emotional. I mean, I was raised by my father from 18 months old until he passed away when I was 19.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, my father had this view, you know, that he was the most non-emotional person I knew. No, he was like that, and for him it was all about facts. It's about, and he said to me, you know what, law is for this lifetime, justice is for the other life, you know.
So,
No, he was like that.
That is amazing. Law is for this lifetime,
Justice is for the other life. So he said, when I do my cases, that was the advice he gave me.
Oh my goodness.
Strive to do the law, you know,
Yes.
because then, you know, we all feel that law was done, but justice, we always question whether justice. And I mean, I don't know if it was correct, you know. The further question is, can justice be done? You know what I mean? In this lifetime. What if it wasn't correct? What if justice can still be done? But he said, because we tried, and it was discouraging emotions. He said, you know, we get so emotional, that's why we want justice, while the legal rules are clear. But I think, yeah, so I think the reason why I just, yeah, I mean, look, you do get a bit invested emotionally,
Yes.
but I think personally, no, you know, you just take your case and you do your best, you know.
My name is Lekokotla. I am an advocate at the Johannesburg Bar at the Bridge Group of Advocates. I met Buhle back in university when I was in my first year. She was my, I believe it was Historical Foundations of Law tutor at the time. And I just found her to be a very bubbly individual, and she took a keen interest in me. She tutored me for what could have been, I think, a year or two, and in that time she adopted me as a son and a brother, because she used to call me son. She was a very studious student, and I always looked up to her as a senior student. She was very exemplary. She passed extremely well, probably one of the top graduates in her class. And when she went to Adams and Adams, she's one of the people I called when I did not know where to study, where to take my studies or where to do my articles. I ended up in Johannesburg, but shortly after we reconnected again, and I found out that she was at the bar, and she's primarily the reason why I find myself at the Johannesburg Bar, because our relationship has translated in a way where I literally feed off her. She is a very, I'd call it industrious person, both in her work and continuing to study. When I met her, she had an LLB, and in the time that I've known her, she's gone and garnered another degree in BCom economics. And she's also one of the driving forces behind my life, because she's always insisted that you never stop studying. And when I qualified for my postgraduate degree, she was one of the first people who told me, Rhea, what are you registering next? And I believe our next project is a BA in philosophy, politics, and economics.
So, okay, all advocates are self-employed, and so are you.
Yes.
How do you get cases? Basically, what I'm really getting to the point is to say, you're young, you're black, you're female. Surely, people are wondering whether they can trust you or not, especially with regards to just your age. I mean, 29, and you've done remarkably well. But how difficult is it to convince in this way people to give you a chance?
Well, look, the thing is, I think there is not a big, well, there is a bit of a difficulty, but I think the biggest difficulty for attorneys who have to go and find the company.
Yes.
That's the biggest difficulty. Now, the second phase is where we come in, how do attorneys come and trust me with the work?
Yes.
Yeah, look, I mean, the thing is, I have to say certain things work in my favor. The group that I'm part of, Victoria Mxenge Group, it's a group of mainly public lawyers, public interest lawyers, so they do a lot of constitutional, human rights, and that type of work. But one of the things that they said when they recruited me to join the group was they want diversity. So I'm one of the people that they're trying to make sure that, I do everything else other than, look, I mean, they bring me in for constitutional matters, I've done quite a lot. But the thing is, I think they want to have that diversity, and I'm just one of the people that then end up, doing that type of work.
Okay.
But you're right, I mean, getting your name out there, how do you do it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's actually quite a funny story.
Okay.
There's an attorney wanted to group me.
Yeah.
And he heard about me, the white man, right? And then his client was white male in Africa, right? But now I remember, like, when he saw me, I think the guy knows me because we more or less the same age, and we're going to varsity together. So that's why he picked me.
Yes.
But his client, on the other hand, I could tell from the moment he walked through, I was just So, for a while, and I'm thinking, should I raise this or not? So I'm just not doing anything.
Yeah.
But then I walked out. As I walked in, guess what he said?
The man, the client.
This is for presents.
At least it's good presents.
Yeah. At least I have presents.
Wow.
It was one of those things where you like,
Wow.
It sounds offensive.
Yeah.
In a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
and you're right. I mean, when they look at you, young, black, and female, and they are defending an 800 million or a 200 million fame,
Yes, they one day they are in the right hands.
you know what I mean, in the right hands. But I mean, luckily my attorney put me in place. I was like, look, I mean, this is the person I know. Otherwise, I would have referred you to 100 other people. So, and luckily for us, we actually won the case.
Did you win the case?
We won the case despite all that doubt, and I just decided, I put that aside. Let's focus on what needs to be done.
And I think that's a lesson for everyone. It's not just in your case. I think it's across the board. If you're going to be doing anything young, race aside, it really just boils down to your ability to do the job and to do it really. I think that's all it boils down to that. If you can manage that, your reputation just speaks for itself. Buhle, you've accomplished so much. I mean, you've done law degree, you've just completed your economics degree, you're an advocate. What's next for you? Are you looking to do your MBA soon, or are we pushing it? And you just really want to further yourself into a family? What's next for you?
I think two things are next. There's the one dream I've always had. In fact, I always said when I was very young, I think just in primary, after deciding to do law, then one of the other things I really thought I was good at was playing soccer.
Okay.
Yeah, so before the confusion about economics and politics, the second option was always to be a soccer player. So I wanted to be a soccer player.
Are you still good?
I played professionally when I was at the University of Victoria.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean for every team, and I played provincially, which was the highest women's league at that time.
Yes.
But so it's the passion. I mean, I play it now twice a week as well in the corporate league.
Okay.
But it's something that I really want to do. But the biggest thing I want to do, honestly, is to start a soccer academy, stroke school of excellence for girls. So that's the
For
biggest,
girls.
yeah, only
I like
for girls,
it.
only
I like
for girls,
it.
yeah. So
I like
it's gonna be a high performance center type of place,
Yeah.
where the focus is on soccer and school.
Oh, and okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a school of excellence. We'll bring in extra teachers. You know, I've got this brilliant idea, so it's only gonna be for women. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm amazed. I really am. It's always so lovely to meet someone who, has what they have, they're doing what they're doing, but they've also got other aspirations and other ambitions as well. It's a very rare thing to find. So all the best with that. I wish you all the best. I'll be looking out for you in the papers, the radio. And I mean, soccer is an area of interest for most South Africans. It's a global interest. I think you do remarkably well. And congratulations on the journey so far.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for